Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then, if you're so smart, tell me why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. And you know when the truth is told that you can get what you want, or you could just get old. You gotta kick off before you even go halfway through. Ooh, why don't you realize we in our ways for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you wanna be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forgot what you need. Although, you know when you're wrong, you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You got your passions, you got your pride. But don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. Ooh, when will you realize we in our waits for you? Can you hear me, folks? Come on in, come on in. You've got a show that you deserve. Good morning, says Mr. Amrit Raj. Good morning, Mr. Raj. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Should we begin? Should we begin the show that we need? The show that we desperately need to make everything right. Yes, you're audible. Beautiful. With that, we will begin the show that we deserve. The show that we deserve, folks. Bum 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 bum. Good morning. Yes, you're audible. Says Miss Pragya Jalova. Good morning, Miss Pragya. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We're having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We're working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! But before we go, gotta follow a tradition, right? You know the tradition. You know the sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail, every day. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a cup or mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice or stein, a canteen jug, a flask or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I like hot water with black pepper in it. And here we go. Beautiful. Sublime. Let's healing. Let's do it again. Man, it was amazing. It was amazing. I hope you had fun with your beverage. I like the synchronicity of the simultaneous sip. You all did a very good job. With that out of the way. Oh, by the way, you know what the simultaneous sip says, right? It says that you're not alone. It says that we are in this together. Such a beautiful thing to say. With that out of the way, let's begin. So, some international finance and geopolitics, folks. Mr. Trump has called dibs on Nvidia's hottest chips, the Blackwells, the most advanced. He says we're not gonna give them to anybody. We're gonna keep them with us. He was, of course, referring to China. Uh, so Nvidia is a company of geopolitical importance, of course, because everything is AI, and since everything is AI, the center of the AI revolution, that is Nvidia, it becomes everything. So in short, Nvidia is everything, and it's of course very important to United States sort of dominance in the world. The last phase of its dominance, it's what's holding on. And Mr. Trump also said that a lot of people are testing nuclear weapons, and so are we. We don't say that, but we should. Pakistan is testing nuclear weapons. He said Pakistan is testing nuclear weapons. That's not a good news for India, of course. He said Russia is testing nuclear weapons. China is testing nuclear weapons. North Korea is testing nuclear weapons. So it makes sense for us to test nuclear weapons as well. We've not been testing them since 1992, but we've got to. We've got to. We don't want to be the only nation who don't test nuclear weapons, he said. And that sorts of sets up a real problem for India if Pakistan is testing nuclear weapons, right? He says they do it way underground. There are a few tremors that are felt on the ground, and that's all. So you don't get to know. And we can't even hide because we have an active media. China and Russia don't have an active media which can actually scrutinize them. So we do. We should get into testing, right? Uh, Now this is a very important play right now with the whole nuclear arms testing that Russia initiated. They said that we are beginning, and it's gonna have ramifications that are maybe nothing or maybe huge. Nobody can tell, but it's of course a mutually assured destruction play. What a mutually assured destruction play means is that if you go, we go, and everybody else goes. Unfortunately for us, Pakistan is that kind of nation. So if you listen to General Asim Munir talking, this is the tone they speak in, that if we don't exist, nobody exists, and so on and so forth. So it causes real problems to countries like India, who just want to go about their business, right? Uh, why Pakistan? Of course, because Pakistan is the counter to the whole ecosystem, the Russian ecosystem near India, and so on and so forth. So a lot of geopolitical play going on, right? In the midst of all of this, Ukraine and Russian oil war is in full swing. Kyiv has received some Patriot air defense systems from Germany. Germany is footing in the bill now. I mean, Europe is footing in the bill for the Ukrainian war. It's not US anymore. US is only supplying weapons for money. So a lot of things are happening. Speaking in these terms, Israel's play is still very much in turmoil, right? So whole peace deal with Hamas is not looking that great. Not looking that great. By the way, a lot of activity is going on. We talked about Sudan a few days back. Nigeria is, of course, in trouble as well. There's a huge genocide happening of Christians. It's a Muslim dominated play in those areas, right? And over 1 lakh Christians have been killed. So Donald Trump has also threatened Nigeria with strikes, saying that you cannot have such a genocide of Christian population. And it's basically they're getting killed because they're Christians. So it's huge whatever's going on with their, uh, you know, geopolitical sort of influence, American influence. And this was essentially a talking point of Mr. J.D. Vance. So if you listen to Mr. J.D. Vance, he said, we talk about genocide in Gaza, in Hamas, even though it's a warlike situation. But there is no warlike situation. And yet Christians in Nigeria are getting killed. So it's more of a, neo-religious religious conflict going in the Western Hemisphere. So it's huge. It's huge, whatever is happening. Speaking of what is huge in the international economics front, we've just come to know that Dr. Michael Burry, the Big Short fame person, upon which the book was written by Mr. Michael Lewis, and then the movie was made. He was the person on which Mr. Christian Bale's character was modeled, right? So the real Christian Bale, let's call him, So he's come out with shorts. So just a few days ago, he wrote a tweet where he said that uh, sometimes we see bubbles, sometimes there's a way to deal with them, and sometimes the only thing that you can do is to not play. So he talked about knowing that there is a bubble, but not knowing what to do with it. Apparently, he has placed shorts on Palantir and Nvidia. Palantir shorts are a huge part of his portfolio, about 60%, I guess, right? And he's long on Pfizer. He's basically bought Pfizer, but he's put a short, a very big short on uh, Palantir and also Nvidia. So Palantir and Nvidia. Palantir, it's trading as a price to earnings of 635. So Palantir is of course a very highly valued company. It's growing, but it is extremely overvalued, if you can call it that. Nvidia price to earnings is nothing. I guess it's some 30, 40, 60 in the range. Nvidia PE. Nvidia is at 57. So that's not a lot, right? 59, 57. But he has chosen to short Nvidia as well. Well, you know, with history as our guiding principle, he's been very, uh, let's say, he calls himself Cassandra. So his Twitter handle is Cassandra. Cassandra is a mythological figure where she basically foretold bad prophecies in the Shakespearean play. So and they turned out to be right. So that's Cassandra. His Twitter handle is Cassandra Unchained, right? So he can be right, of course. So a lot of people say that this guy has just been right once. Well, that's false. He's not just been right once. He's just been right once in a very big way. He was right with the meme stock play as well. That he screwed very well. He was also right with GameStop. So he was right in a lot of ways which people don't understand. But at the moment, this short looks very risky. At least the Nvidia one looks very risky to me. I know Nvidia is valued at over $5 trillion. That that is huge, of course. $5 trillion is like 25% more than you know India's GDP. Not 20. Yeah, it's 25% more than India's GDP. So of course, Nvidia looks very highly valued. But shorting Nvidia at the moment, risky. Palantir, I can see where he's coming from. You know, going with that. So let's see what happens. There's also, when it comes to international finance, we've got to talk about Bitcoin, right? Mr. Peter Thiel came out with an interview, and he had interesting things to say about Bitcoin. So Mr. Peter Thiel has been, by the way, Mr. Peter Thiel is the founder of Palantir. Palantir is being currently run by Mr. Alex. I forget his full name. It's like a Jewish name, Akoff something. But he's Mr. Alex. I remember his first name. So, but Mr. Peter Thiel founded Palantir. Palantir is basically a national security company. It's a government, support for, let's say, tracking terrorists and tracking whatever. So it's a national security company, surveillance, but libertarian surveillance. What that means is libertarian is a social, or let's say socio-political movement which focuses on individual liberty. So Palantir, while being essentially a surveillance company, is a libertarian company at heart because it doesn't uh, interfere with privacy, individual privacy. It's looking at privacy from a very macro view. So it terrorist attacks or geopolitical plays or some, that's what Palantir's business model is. Nobody really knows how Palantir works, but Palantir is a very important company, very important company, and Mr. Peter Thiel founded it. So coming to Mr. Peter Thiel's views on Bitcoins, he said he's been very long on Bitcoin. He liked Bitcoin, right? But Bitcoin has been uh, suffering, or let's say Bitcoin has its own problems, and the biggest problem is the psychopath grandpa, who is holding a lot of cash. He was referring to Mr. Warren Buffett, so he called him that, and he said, it got a lot of laughs. But why I was long on Bitcoin, or why I liked Bitcoin, was because it was an anti-establishment, pro-libertarian, pro-government anti-establishment, pro-libertarian, cypherpunk, play. However, if it is once again cypherpunk, anti-establishment, pro-libertarian play, right? Crypto-anarchist play. It's these are very nice things for me because I like it, right? I like how this functions. But if I talk to people in FBI and they tell me that they'd rather have money launderers and drug dealers buy and sell in Bitcoin instead of uh, cash, that sort of has me worried. So I'll come again. I liked Bitcoin, because it was an anti-establishment, cypherpunk, crypto-anarchist, libertarian play, right? However, if I talk to people in FBI and they tell me that they'd rather have drug dealers and money launderers buy and sell in Bitcoin instead of cash, instead of dollar bills, that has me worried about the prospects of Bitcoin. Like, how libertarian, how anti-establishment are you really if the law enforcement guys prefer you over cash? So essentially, the only sell of Bitcoin was the establishment won't be able to sniff it. But it turns out that establishment is being able to sniff it, and that very well. That very well. So a lot of people who are essentially laundering money and doing. We talked about some people who were basically laundering money in Kerala. They had some drug play, right? Now, if they can't launder money with Bitcoin, they got caught because of Bitcoin. If they can't launder money with Bitcoin, what is the use of Bitcoin, right? That's what he says. Now, that's a very interesting perspective, of course. The only thing that Bitcoin was proving to be good for was where central currency was not functioning. Like, people in Nigeria favor Bitcoin because currency has gotten devalued like anything, and there's mayhem on the streets, people are getting killed. It's a shithole, right? So you need a lot of peer-to-peer transactions without the government stepping in. But if there's a properly functioning government which has a good control over the supply of money, the only reason you would be using Bitcoin would be to launder money, right? And if you can't do that, then what good is it? He asks. So he says there's not much upside left on Bitcoin. I've not watched the full interview, but I watched some clips of it. I couldn't watch it because of time constraints, but I do intend to watch everything. I watch and read everything that Mr. Peter Thiel says. He has affected my thinking in a very, very big way. Mr. Abhishek Sharma asks, quick question, why do they prefer Bitcoin over cash? Who? You're talking about the law enforcement agencies, Mr. Abhishek Sharma? Because they're able to catch Bitcoin. Because they're able to catch Bitcoin. They prefer Bitcoin. They prefer that thugs and money launderers and drug dealers would rather use Bitcoin, that they can catch Bitcoin more easily than cash, right? So that's what he means. And if Bitcoin can be caught by the law enforcement so easily, then it's not really cypherpunk, anti-establishment, pro-libertarian, crypto-anarchist play, right? So it's not that. So that's, I have read books which Mr. Peter Thiel recommended. So he reads a lot, of course, and he's written a couple of books. I've read them, and I've also read the books he's recommended. So one of the books he recommended was 21 battles which shaped the Western civilization. 21 most important battles of civilization. It was a pretty good book. It named from Battle of Athens to Battle of Waterloo. Pretty good book. And then he also named a book called Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World, which was a very heavy read. And then, of course, there's Cryptonomicon, which is a piece of fiction, which I haven't read in full because it's very, very thick. Lack of time. But yeah, I want to read everything he has read and then some more, right? And I'm almost there. So he's one thinker I really admire. Really admire. Moving on, folks. So that's what's happening with the, geopolitics play. There's also, international finance. Speaking of international finance, the manufacturing economies are struggling. The PMI of US, the PMI of Germany, the PMI of Europe, it's shrinking. So it's not going well, right? Factory activity in US, in Germany, and all, it's shrinking. But factory activity in India is picking up. So if you look at Indian PMI of October, it's basically at 59.7, which is awesome. So the way to read PMI is if it's over 50, it's expanding. If it's under 50, it's shrinking. So all of these Western economies are shrinking. Even China's manufacturing PMI is less than 50. It's about 49, 46, somewhere of that sort, right? So India, by the way, the manufacturing activity is bustling, which is very, very good news for the country, right? So that's what's happening. 48.7 is basically US manufacturing output. Speaking of manufacturing and the whole data center play, Amazon has hit a $38 billion deal with OpenAI for Nvidia chips. So this is basically AWS essentially tying up with OpenAI. OpenAI might be looking at a $1 trillion IPO, right, in 2026. Now that is huge. That is huge. So that's just that's gonna be the thing to short, right? That's an obvious short. Obvious short. Now, whenever that happens, it's gonna bring. If something can bring the economy down, it's something like that. So all you need for a crash is a match, right? And if a lot of people get margin called on particular match, everything falls. So that's exactly what that IPO looks like. $1 trillion IPO. Let's see what happens there. Very, very interesting, right? The company says that it's doing well over $13 billion, even though it was what it was. So you never know. Maybe it's doing 20 billion, maybe it's doing 25, but $1 trillion valuation. Okay. So that's what's happening, folks. A lot of action, right? When it comes to international finance. I hope you like the drill. Let's move forward. Turkey is cutting Russian oil purchases. India is on them. India is going to have a lot of front loading because November 21 is when the sanctions hit. So a lot of proceeds are going to come before November 21. So imports are going to rise for a while and then they're going to taper off after 21 November sanctions hit, right? So that's what's happening with the whole play. Indian deal with the Europe is also looking at getting finalized. Some aspects that are getting polished. By the way, Indian exports to US have fallen, but corresponding exports to other markets have risen, which essentially is a very it's a pretty good thing. So the way to deal with US sanctions was, of course, a six-pronged approach which we talked about. You find alternate markets. You strengthen the domestic consumption. You offshore some of the manufacturing. Find reroute your purchase supplies to through other places. Then you find out ways to reduce costs, right? The input costs and so on and so forth. Then then you also give them good credit and good financing capabilities, the exporters, right? So India did all of them, and now that India has proven or is proving that it can offset a major tariff from United States, it's going to be a very good leverage in the trade deal. So everything is leverage. We think that these countries and these big companies deal in a way which is different from us, right? But all of these transactions, all of these conversations happen just like our conversations at the Mandi, right? It's all leverage. It's all very, very simple. India, could you do something? If Indian exports would have crashed and if Indian economy would have actually suffered, those people would have had a very solid leverage. Now India has all the leverage because it's been able to deal with the situation pretty nicely, right? So kudos to India on that. A few comments. Mr. Sumanth Kumar says India's PMI raised by 2% to 59 in September. No, even October numbers came, so it's 59.7 or something of that sort. I don't know. I know, but I'll come to the numbers exact numbers, but it's somewhere around 59 point some. Mr. Abhishek Sharma writes, from today's ChatGPT is going to offer 400 plan for free for 1 year. I wonder what's their profitability plan. So nobody knows actually. Nobody knows. And a lot of weakness is coming in from ChatGPT because that interview turned out to be, it had a lot of chatter. It really proved to be a very very weird interview for Mr. Sam Altman. So let's see what happens in that area. But whatever happens, a $1 trillion economy is definitely gonna screw everything up. That's for sure. You can take my word to the bank when it comes to that. Moving on, folks. Let's move to India, right? We've talked a lot about international finance and a bit of geopolitics. Now it's time for India's news. Brookfield has lined up $12 billion for Andhra Pradesh, largest foreign commitment for sector, green energy. Green energy is a play. We've talked about how Andhra Pradesh is essentially courting a lot of investments and very successfully, thanks to Mr. Chandrababa Naidu. Chandrababa Naidu sir is going heavy. We've talked about months ago, many months ago, we talked about how in a matter of days, an entire proposal for a particular river was passed, and now it's gonna move in that direction. So it was amazing, and these things are just adding on to that flavor. If you look at this particular play, focus on Indosol Navyo green hydrogen projects, township north of Vishakhapatnam, Leela Hotel statewide 100 billion India portfolio. So that's what's happening. A lot of work going on in Andhra Pradesh, which is amazing, right? Which is pretty amazing. Hindujas are investing about 20,000 crore. They've announced a 20,000 crore investment in the country. But whatever Hindujas say, I don't believe it. I choose to not believe it. I have a natural stay away policy from Hindujas. The guys who are willing to traffic domestic maids from India to Switzerland and make them work 18 hours, not pay fair wages. I just don't want anything to do with them. Maybe it's possible that this particular announcement isn't followed through. Those are the kind of people I think they are, right? And right after that thing, a lot of my apprehensions got confirmed with the whole IndusInd Bank play. Viewers of Thinkers Frequency know. They have the context. New viewers might not know that clearly, but if you want, I could explain again. Moving on, folks. That's what's going on. 59.2 rising in October. So yeah, 59.2 is the PMI. Supreme Court has answered Vodafone India's call, allow review of all AGR liabilities. AGR is adjusted gross revenue liabilities. So as predicted, folks, viewers of Thinkers Frequency would remember the only way Vodafone could be saved is if the government just forgets about all the debt. So the solution of Vodafone's debt was just forget about it. Forget about it. If you watch Donnie Brasco, that's a movie reference. It's a Johnny Depp movie. Johnny Depp, Al Pacino, great movie. So you just forget about it, right? So that's what the government had to do or has to do. Just forget about all the debt. So Supreme Court is talking about, the stock went 10%. It's in reference to a new investment which is being thought of for Vodafone, right? So Vodafone is raising money. There's a private equity company, Tillman, who is interested in Vodafone. It's going to become a promoter, right? The government stake shareholding would reduce from 49%, 48 from 99 to a lot if that money comes in. But the only way that money is going to come in if the government just forgets about the liabilities. So one of the cases was an 8,300 crore rupees, 8,500 crore rupee transfer pricing issue. So transfer pricing issue case was when Vodafone India essentially sold one of the units to the Vodafone UK unit, right? And it was an 8,300 crore deal. So the money came in and 3,000 crore rupees were supposed to be taxed. That's what the IT claimed, income tax department. They wanted to tax Vodafone because of this particular deal, right? But they said that it wasn't the agreement. It was a forward agreement. Forward agreement is basically there were some calls and puts in place in that agreement. So that particular transfer was just fulfillment of the original agreement of the forward agreement. So it didn't have to be taxed. It was in the clause of the company. So that was in contention. Uh, the case was pending, right? It went to High Court and then so on and so forth. Now, Supreme Court says that this case can just go screw itself and so on and so forth. So that's what's happening with the play. Liabilities include interest, penalty, relief package may be announced and so on and so forth. Total debt is 83,000 crores AGR, dues up to FY27, right? 83,000 crores, and the government has to eat shit because they are not gonna pay, and there's no way that. So there are two ways. One is just forget about it, right? One is just forget about it for a while. So it's gonna be restructured in a way that the money comes like, after the world ends. So nobody knows what's gonna happen with Vodafone, but if it finds some money, the telco might have a chance. So 10% up, right? That's Vodafone for now. Stock was very happy, very happy. Airtel, by the way, did very well. Its Q2 profit surges 83% on higher data push, right? More high-paying customers, ARPU going up. As I told you folks, there's a lot of scope for the telcos to grow right now because whatever capex plans had been, they had done, right? The spend that the telco players did, it's done. It's been done for 15 years. So a lot of spend. Now is the time when they'll milk the cow, right, so to speak, if it's the right expression. And India is very, very modestly priced when it comes to telcos. Now is when they're gonna raise the price because they also have all the leeway, the leverage to raise the price. Even if they raise the price, BSNL and Vodafone, they're not gonna kill it, right? It's not like they're gonna lose out to BSNL and Vodafone. Vodafone is losing customers left, right, and center like there's no tomorrow, right? And Airtel and Jio are gaining all the customers that Vodafone is losing. So there's a lot of room for growth, right? But how much can the stock grow? Because the company is itself valued at about $132 billion. So there's little room to grow in my opinion. But maybe, some 20%, 24%. So Airtel has the return on capital is, if the past 3 years you look at, it's more than 24.8%, which is awesome. So that's the kind of money that you can make on Airtel. 24, 25%, maybe 30%, surely 30%, but not something like it can't double your money, definitely. If that is an opportunity you're looking for, Airtel is not that. Moving on, folks. Chinese imports are up in India. China's and India's relationship is going well, right? So Chinese imports are happening at a very fast pace, electronics and so on and so forth. India is also sending them shrimps and so on and so forth, the marine products. Marine, not maritime. Marine. Marine is fishes and so on and so forth, right? Shrimps, fishes, seafood, essentially. So that's what's going on, man. By the way, viewers of Thinkers Frequency, I'd request you to, at the risk of repeating myself, I'd say please share it, share it on your WhatsApp status, do whatever you can, help the endeavor grow. We are on what we are on, right? We are going to come out with shorts very soon, but do what you can to grow, if possible. Moving on, folks. So let's lot of political chit chat, man. Very, very boring. Very boring. It's just hilariously dumb. Very boring. Moving on. With 100 billion war chest, KKR set aside a huge share for India play. A large part of portfolio aims at Asia, local for local, says the chief. He says that India investments are local for local. That means local teams are going to be parking money separately. And KKR is very bullish on India, and that's a very good news for India because a lot of secondary action, a lot of deal action. If you remember, KKR is also responsible for a lot of deals in the hospital sector, right? So a private equity player like that going bullish on India is a good play, right? BCG, the chief of BCG CEO, has given a news about outsourcing, right? Outsourcing will continue to rise despite AI, but GCCs to help add a new layer of growth, he says, as per BCG's business model is concerned. So a lot of people have said that consulting is looking at a real death knell due to AI, right? Consultants used to be very good, high value business, but AI is gonna kill consulting. That's what people believed. But for now, McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, all of these people, Bain, they're doing fairly well. They said we're gonna use AI to be more prominent in our offerings, as everybody says, right? So there's no news for that. He says GCCs are also going to be helping the business in India. Of course they are. GCCs, as you know, they are growing like anything. 1,800 GCCs in the country, employing about 1.8 million people. Huge, right? So it's going to employ about 3 million people soon, and number of GCCs will rise up to 5,000. So amazing stuff happening with GCCs. And he says that this is what's going to happen. That's exactly what everybody says. The incumbent says that AI is not going to hurt them when risks exist. Now, I used to be a person who used to feel that AI is going to just kill jobs and everything. But whatever is happening with AI, how it's working and how it's functioning, I think some of my fears were overstated for now. So when it comes to creative work, when it comes to actual work, LLM clearly is not the way where a lot of job cuts are going to happen, right? That's clearly not going to happen. But yes, it's very early. It's basically super early days of the internet. Mr. Jeff Bezos said that while AI is definitely a bubble financially, it's not a bubble substantively, because AI is like electricity. So that's what he said. AI is like electricity. It's gonna change everything it touches. It's like electricity. Now that's a pretty good frame. An analogy, but a very good analogy. Very good analogy, right? AI is like electricity. He said internet. So he said our financials were moving. So if you look at the internet boom, Amazon's stock price plummeted 95%, 90% right after the crash. And then it took 7 years to come back to those levels. So he said, while the business was moving, the stock went down. So it was definitely a bubble financially, but it was not a bubble substantively, because we grew, right? So that's what's happening. A lot of people are underestimating what the next year might bring for products as far as AI is considered. So whenever people are shorting AI, a lot of action is happening in hardware, right? The robotics play. Whatever Mr. Musk is saying about AI robots, it's just scary stuff, right? Scary. So let's see what happens in that area. Moving on, folks. Alternate investment funds turn big realty investors. A lot of money flowing into realty. Real estate is now the single largest recipient of AIFs in India. Beyond traditional bank loans and private equity, AI anchor now 80% of category 2 commitments, injecting. As of June, total AIF commitments stood at 14 lakh crores, right? And funds rate at 6 lakh crores. So a lot of real estate money flowing in. Of course, a lot of it has to do with the office environment, office play, right? The office spaces, the official real estate, the corporate real estate as it's called, because of the GCCs, because there's so many businesses that are going to get established in the country. Office leasing is at an all-time high. And then of course there's also tier 2 cities, the domestic play, and so on and so forth. So if you look at it, deployment, residential, commercial, logistics, warehousing, and so on. So in FY25 they deployed about 74,000 crores, right? Median fund sizes for new launches 300 to 700 crore. That's what is going on. So very interesting stuff when it comes to real estate, right? I hope all of it doesn't just concentrate in the tier 1s, in the metropolitans. That's going to be bad. But the good news is it doesn't look like it, right? Because Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, a lot of cities outside the capitals, outside the metros, are getting some sort of push, right? Mr. Ashutosh Bhandekar, a regular viewer, talked about Badchiroli, a small play which got a lot of capex from JSW. So capex is going to be very high. There's a lot of news, folks, about the Indian women team winning the World Cup. I'm not the right person to talk about it. I don't watch cricket. I don't know anything about cricket. I've not watched cricket for like 10 years, more than 10 years easily. So I have no clue, but I wish them luck. I'm very happy that women's cricket team has done so well. I just wish other sports could also, you know, flourish in the country. There's a comment. Mr. Abhishek Sharma says, and even cities like Chandigarh have potential for development, but nothing much is happening in North India. A lot of action is happening in UP, Mr. Abhishek Sharma. So if you look at the Lucknow real estate market, it's bustling. It's very well. It's doing very well. If you look at Banaras, if you look at all these places, there are a lot of places. The Jewar airport is doing a lot of action in Noida and Greater Noida. So if you look at those areas, it's really kicking in, right? So it's not North India, definitely, but whatever is happening is UP is looking green right now. UP is definitely looking green. A lot of action when it comes to the Tata play, right? So Mr. Mehli Mistry, he's also a trustee in some of the other Tata trusts, right? Some hospital trusts and so on and so forth. Now his membership there might just also go, and he is talking about the Maharashtra charitable constitution. I mean, what are the government body? So the legal play might or might not go, right? Unfortunately, I mean, good for the country, but I don't think Mr. Mehli Mistry has a lot of leverage when it comes to countering this particular move. All he has said, it's going to be a legal protracted strife, but it's going to be a protocol-driven fight. There's not much substance when it comes to Mr. Mistry's stand on the story. So let's see what happens. Hinduja's 20,000 crores, Andhra, energy and EVs. We talked about this. So we've talked about Vodafone dropping the case. The income tax department has dropped the case. Grok is going public, of course. Grow's offer is hot. Raised 3,000 crores raised from 102 anchor investors. Local mutual funds accounting for 47%. So Grow is a pretty good IPO. The company is going to be going public at a valuation of what? 7-8 billion. That's very modest. I think Grow has a lot of potential. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Whatever is happening with Grow, I like it. It's going to be a good stock. It's definitely going to be a very good stock for times to come. It's obviously there's a concentration risk when it comes to the volatility of the stock trades is considered, because that's primary bread and butter for a company like Grow. However, if you look at moving on from that concentration risk, it's also a very good distributor of mutual funds and so on and so forth. So it's diversifying, and sooner or later its diversification effects will bear fruit. And when they bear fruit, the company will be actually a juggernaut, a public juggernaut. So retail investors will have a very good opportunity of making a lot of money when it comes to Grow. And they lose a lot of money, of course, when it comes to Lenskart. I have a few comments. What? Okay, thank you. It's a funny comment, so I don't need to read it. Hello, sir. How are you doing? Sorry, I forgot why I subscribed to your channel, but I know sure that your video might have stood out and helped me in some way for sure. Well, I don't know what to say. Pine Labs is also going public, folks. Right? Pine Labs is going public at a valuation lower, half of what it was in 2020. So it's a down round when it comes to going public. So it was valued at about $5 billion in the last fundraise it did, 50 million from a London-based fund, right? Now it's going to be valued at $2.9 billion when it goes public. So that's what's Pine Labs value, right? That's obviously a very good thing but I am yet to read their numbers. I don't know how well they're valued, right? If I have to look at the revenue numbers, I don't know their revenue numbers. So I'll have to study Pine Labs. I've heard bad things about it, right? As far as their revenue is considered and the multiples it's getting. But definitely coming from $5 billion to $2.9 billion signals some self-awareness for a company of that size, right? Even if there are problems, directionally they are right? So they're probably offering something to the retail investors, which is good news. So let's see how that goes on. Ship Rockets is also looking at going public. A lot of public action. I think a lot of IPOs will get cancelled after Lenskart falls. So Lenskart is gonna be out, right? And when it's out, it's gonna have some pop in the beginning, and then after the pop, there's gonna be a very serious downturn, very serious downturn. And when it has that kind of a downturn, there's gonna be a lot of news, a lot of furor about how it was on cards. Everybody said it. Everybody's gonna come out with statements saying that they saw it coming, and they were right, right? And when that happens, uh, uh, a lot of people, the IPO market will suddenly start looking bad, because that's what happens. And then, a lot of IPOs would get cancelled. So that's my prediction when it comes to Lenskart. And it has some chance of happening. It's not 100% certain prediction that we make, but it's possible. So we say it's possible, right? Uh, Lenskart GMP was still 15%. GMP. But it requires a capital in 1 to 2,000 crore, and really don't have any ideas how to. Okay, there is some, we can talk about it, folk. Mate, later you have your business model query. We can maybe take it up after the show, right? And we'll have a discussion. We can have a discussion. So, GMP, I'm not familiar with that particular abbreviation, or maybe I'm missing it. Lenskart GMP meaning. What is GMP, folks? Grey market premium. Oh, grey market premium. Market premium. Grey market premium. I got it. Yeah, so it's gonna exist. So once the thing pops up a little, right? So what's happening is, why the grey market premium happens is because everybody knows the IPO market is such a sure, predictable thing, that whenever a company goes public, there is so much of furor, so much of media action, and so much of news that it pops a little after the IPO. So everybody tries to hold shares before the IPO. That's the grey market play, right? That's what happened with HDB as well, which fell right after the IPO, which took a lot of money off the retail investors. So a lot of people who want to be greedy, they try to cap the whole IPO play before it happens, right? But I think what's going to happen is, right after a bit of a pop, when it lists, there's going to be a pop, and after that pop, there's going to be a very, very big play. That's exactly what I said was going to happen with Urban Company as well, right? So serious pop happened right after it went public. Almost, the stock almost doubled, right? 100 to 200 or something of that sort. 60%, 70% rise. And I said, I'm not saying that it's the right time to buy. Generally what happens with IPOs is that its price went down, and that's exactly what happened with Urban Company as well. So, but that's going to happen with Lenskart in a very big way. Not like the Urban Company way, where it's just from $1.7 billion IPO, the company is worth basically $2.3, $2.4 billion, which is great, which is beautiful, right? 2.5. It peaked at $3 billion, and it's going to go there. I'm very positive about Urban Company, of course. I'm a very, very big admirer, right? So it's going to go, but Lenskart, it's not going to happen that way. So even though the GMP is all cool, it's not going to be staying, that's for sure. Mr. Musk is coming out with Grok-ipedia, right? Grok-ipedia is Mr. Musk's answer to Wikipedia. Some context to the story. Mr. Musk hates Wikipedia because it's biased. Mr. Jimmy Wales and Larry Singer founded Wikipedia. After founding Wikipedia, Mr. Jimmy Wales wanted to kill Mr. Larry Singer's legacy of contributing to Wikipedia, but that he couldn't do. Wikipedia is run by a community play. The code is called Wiki. It can be changed with a lot of people contributing to it. And that basically it has a lot of left-wing bias, claim a lot of people. I agree. It has a lot of left-wing bias, and that left-wing bias leads to serious ramifications for whoever is searching through or swifting through those pages, right? So he offered $1 billion to Wikipedia fundraising play, and he says, I could give you $1 billion if you change your name from Wikipedia to Dikipedia. But Wikipedia refused, of course, and now he's starting Grok-ipedia. So let's see what happens, right? Moving on, folks. It is funny, I know. ED attaches 7,500 crore assets linked to Reliance ADA Group. ADA is Anil Ambani Group, right? Man, what's happening with Anil Ambani Group? I think the government found out a way in which he was trying to hurt the ruling government or something of that sort. The government really found something, and they are coming to bite his butt. It's just very, very weird. Ambani Group was really kicking it, right? It had a lot. Infrastructure Group, especially, it was looking at raising 6,000 crores. And so there were comeback stories around Mr. Anil Ambani, and I was very happy to read them. But somehow they found out something. I'm pretty sure they found out something, and they've come to bite him, and they're biting him from all directions. So 7,500 crore assets seized. Yes, these transactions happened way back in the future, like 10, 15 years ago. But it seemed like the government had moved past them, right? I'm saying government, I know it's ED, it's supposed to be a thing, but everybody knows that there's a lot of government influence when it comes to these enforcement agencies. So whatever is happening with Mr. Anil Ambani, it's not looking pretty. It's not looking pretty at all, right? Moving on, folks. I've talked about Russian oil, how it's gonna go up because of sanctions hitting in November 21. Front loading is one of the very, very beautiful parts of the world. Concepts everybody should know. Front loading and deferred purchases. They have a lot of. Mr. Sumanth Kumar says Card IPO just subscribed 2x. No, not 2x. Not 2x. It's about 1.2 something x. I think it's gonna be a flop show. Definitely. Definitely. Moving on, folks. So there's a new report, or an analysis on how India's IT might just be in a real threat of AI. So we've talked so much about it that we don't need to repeat ourselves on the whole AI hurting Indian IT play, the $280 billion industry. I've told you, now it's been 162 days. It's one of the few things that I've been saying since the beginning of the show, that it's going to hurt the play. Now, one of the experts has come up with his reading of the situation. I just need to read this analysis because it's slightly more insider than my macro view. So I've been talking macro, that's going to happen. So he gives a micro perspective. So Peter Samuel, the CEO of Everest Group, most of the profit pool of the entire industry is in the software development life cycle. Okay, about 85% of profit in the entire IT services is made there, and the key to that is the labor opportunity. The traditional pyramid, led by thousands of L1 and L2 engineers delivering volume-based work, has been the bedrock of profitability. As AI tasks take over testing, coding, and maintenance, companies are already reporting productivity jumps of 40 to 45%, according to Samuel. The existing threat that AI poses is that we don't have this L1 and L2. This just blows up the entire TCS Wipro tech model. Now, he's saying that IT companies are showing 45 to 50% of productivity increase because of AI. That is a lie. that is just wrong, factually wrong. It's not more than 5 to 7%. The whole AI productivity play, it's not more than 5 to 7%. So the dreams of 50%, that's a dream. That's a long future dream that's happening. Right now it's less than 10%. But of course, he says that the whole coupling, let's say there's a $15 billion company, right? An IT company with $1 billion revenue and 3 lakh people. But in 3 years, a $1 billion IT services company could have just 1,000 employees. So that's what he says. Now that could be true. That could be true. So let's see what happens there. But anyway, the clouds over IT, as I've been saying, exist, and they exist very, very deeply. So that's exactly what Mr. Peter Samuel is saying, the chief of Everest Group, right? He says there's also an aspect of deals and their complications, right? The middle players, the middle of the pyramid players like LTI, Mindtree, and Infinite, and all of these smaller players, they're going to benefit because they're going to have an advantage of agility against the big wins, right? So that's exactly what our reading of the situation is. Whenever an industry falls, the big person suffers the most, the smaller guy less so. The smallest guy, there's almost no difference on what he does, right? It doesn't even matter because he can change. Moving on, folks. There's a very dumb statement said. Lenovo's global chief technology officer says AI in the end will hopefully act like the user. Well, no surprise, no prizes to Mr. Tolga Kortuglu on this insightful statement. AI in the end will hopefully act like the user. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. By the way, the chief of HP is also talking about PCs and how PCs will be made AI first, and there's going to be a lot of investments in making of PCs, manufacturing of PCs, and the Chinese dependence will reduce. The chief of HP is talking, but who gives a shit about PCs these days, right? That's a very, very good question, unfortunately. Moving on, HP used to be a great company, by the way. If you want to read a very good book, the biography of Mr. Bill Hewlett is called The HP Way, is a pretty good book. And then there's also a book called Bill and Dave. Yeah, it's a very good book. So it's it's a biography of Bill and Dave, Bill Hewlett, Dave Packard. Great company. HP founded the Silicon Valley. So the Silicon Valley exists because of HP. HP is the fountainhead of the Silicon Valley, and Mr. Especially the HP Way. So it's a very tiny book, small book, but it really he had a very nice way of thinking. So one thing he said was management by walking around. So right, so that's a very simple concept. He says whenever you're, at the time HP was into manufacturing, of course, has always been. So he was like, just walk on the factory floor, talk to people, right? Talk to people, question what they're doing. Just keep keep yourself very rooted on the ground instead of the whole macro approach of doing things. Look at the ground, and you're gonna have a very good view of what the company is doing, and the more you are on the ground, the better your operations. It's very simple ways of thinking. So he said, I never believed in venture capital, I never believed in taking debt, I always believed in building the company through internal accruals, right? And that's the founder of Silicon Valley, the mecca of, let's say, fundraising, right? He said that, and why he said that was because his father was an accountant, and his father was an accountant during 1929, right? That was the period. So he said, whenever I used to look at my father's sheets, right, the companies that he used to be looking at, all the companies which went bankrupt, they had a lot of debt on their sheets, which made me very scared of death. So how childhood experiences, these little experiences, shape your thinking, right? Shape how you believe, how you function, and so on and so forth. This is how a very good book, So HP Way, even though HP has lots of relevance in the tech world, it is still a very iconic company, right? Just because of the historical legacy it has, right? There could have been a lot of good things that could have happened with the company, but it couldn't do it, right? So much gets influenced by just upbringing. Exactly. So that's exactly, says Mr. Tushar Tiwari, that's exactly what I wanted to point out. So much. Like this is a child whose father was an accountant. He saw a lot of companies going under, and one thing he found common in all of those companies was that they had a lot of debt on their sheets, right? So he said, I'm not going to take debt. And that's how HP began. And that's how HP differed. Never raised venture capital, never grew like that, and became so huge, right? A very interesting story. Good book, great book. Bill and Dave, The HP Way. HP Way is a very tiny book, very small book. So it's a quick read. Bill and Dave is a slightly dense book. Bill and Dave talks about the founder camaraderie, how these two people were so different. Mr. Dave Packard, Mr. Bill Hewlett, they had very contrasting personality. One was a very, tenacious guy, and one was a very calm and composed guy. This is usually every partnership, every startup partnership, the company partnership is essentially a mix of these two personalities. One is to be a very calm guy, one is a very tenacious guy, and if this partnership breaks out, everything falls apart. The stable guy doesn't build, right? The tenacious guy can't hold back, and so on and so forth. So if you look at Yes Bank's history, right? Yes Bank was founded by Mr. Rana Kapoor and Mr. I forget his name, Mr. Kapoor. His spelling was different. S. Kapoor. Mr. Shekhar Kapoor. I don't know. So this guy was a very calm and composed and a very disciplined and a very finance heavy, a very methodical, Mr. Kotak Mahindra kind of a person. Mr. Rana Kapoor was a no holds barred, tenacious, I don't give a shit about rules kind of a person, right? And then what happened? In 2611, Mr. Kapoor, the other Kapoor, he got shot. So he got killed in that particular unfortunate terrorist incident, right? And Mr. Rana Kapoor was the only man standing when it came to Yes Bank. And then he grew Yes Bank. And then he totally screwed it, right? He totally. And now he's in the jail or he's in the custody. So it's so bad, right? So that's what happens with companies. It takes yin and yang, right? Moving on, folks. Warburgs is looking at $26 billion in India First Life, 10,000 crores valuation. That's an insurance company. A lot of action in insurance. For Vikasit Bharat 2047, they want insurance for all. So that's where all this action is going. Moving on, folks. PSU Banks right sector wave, strong Q2, valuations a draw. Now, what did I tell you? What did I tell you, folks? All the stock picks that we've talked about, all of them. It's not a stock pick platform, of course, right? All the things that we've talked about when it came to the future, they're all coming out exactly how we said. So that's cool. That's pretty cool, right? That always reminds me of that margin call dialogue. You know why I make the big bucks? It's because I can see a month, I can hear the music playing a day, a week, a month from now. And that's predicting future is the best measure of intelligence, right? Says Mr. Elon Musk. So for now, our predictions are going very well. Let's see how that Lenskart prediction plays out, right? Moving on, folks. NHAI monetization plan in fast lane. That's going well. Right, we've already talked about the deals that India is trying to solve for. Non-US markets doing well, right? Some numbers if you want. Merchandise exports rose 6.7 year on year, but shipments to US fell 11.3%, 11.9%. So whatever US fell. So if you look at, let's say, carpet exports, right, gem and jewelry and so on and so forth, they went down 50%, 40%, so on and so forth, but they found out alternate markets. In all the places, they ended up finding alternate market. Disaggregated official data for September shows marine products exports to US were down 26%, but China, Vietnam and Thailand rose 60% and so on and so forth. So every bit of that market, marine products, basmati rice, cotton ready-made, drug formulations, all of these places grew. Drug formulations went 100% up in Nigeria. Can you guess what's happening? Can you guess what's happening? What do you think it's happening if Nigerian exports go up 100%? Huh, folks? What do you think it's happening? Right? One word. Can you guess? Can you guess? It's not sure, but can you guess? Right? Rerouting. says Mr. Tushar Tiwari. Absolutely. 100%. So a lot of action. Maybe it's not, but that's what we guess, right? So gold buying up by central banks, up by 10%, Q3, right? India, all the central banks are adding gold. That's not secret to us. We talked about this way before Economic Times covered, right? Investments in digital golds ETF rose 221 tons, up 134% on year. So India is bringing a lot of gold back. India is adding a lot of gold, domestic gold. I mean, households purchases and even the central bank purchases, they're going up. Gold, China has ended a tax rebate. We talked about this. We've been very, very quick with this for their retails. So it's going to curtail the domestic demand a bit, but central demand is going to take it up. So gold is up. It's not fallen down by a lot. I told you when we talked about gold, I said, at the peak of it, when people are asking, does it make sense to buy gold? That was a question that Thinkers Frequency got posed by a lot. And if you remember our answer, it was, you don't buy gold to make money, you buy to not lose money. And the most downside that you have with gold is about 10%. And guess what? It fell 9% and then it started climbing up again. So the net loss was about 3.5-4%, which is exactly what we said. So, I'm proud of it. I'm super proud of it. So everybody had their views, and we had an independent, first principles thought when it came to the gold play. It plays out exactly how we said it would, right? So this brings us to the end of the 167nd episode of Thinkers Frequency, folks. Our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in, right? We're going to punch in. It's 9:13. We should punch in anytime soon. I wish you a beautiful day personally and professionally. I'll not see you tomorrow. Today is 4th. Tomorrow and day after there will not be a show. I'm traveling to Bangalore for very important meetings. Wish me luck. No show for tomorrow and day after. By the way, please keep your support. Right, the patron thing, it needs to grow. It needs to grow. So please keep on the patron thing, and also share it, help it grow, and so on and so forth. We're doing very well with Thinkers Frequency. We raised about $9,700. Our card target was 10,000. So if we were going IPO, our subscription was about 97%, which is not good. Not good, right? But anyway, folks, it's always nice to talk. I should thank Mr. Amrit Raj, Miss Pragya Jilova, Mr. Abhishek Sharma, Mr. Sumanth Kumar, Mr. Tushar Tiwari, Mr. Codename Alpha X, Mr. Class Apart, Mr. Barun, I guess, and everybody, right? Everybody else who joined. Thank you so much, folks. Thanks a lot. Keep your support rolling. And what? I'm missing something. Oh, something really interesting happened, folks. This is only for the viewers, regular viewers. Scott Adams, sir, unfortunately got very sick. Right, he's dealing with a lot. The cancer is a problem. So he was dealing with a problem and a drug called Pluvicto. So he wanted to get that drug. It is a very early stage drug, and it was life saving. So he couldn't get it because there was some bureaucratic thing. And he wrote that I got a call from President Trump, and he said he's gonna help me, and I need that help right now. I'm fading fast, and I need that drug. And these people, the Kaiser people, the insurance people, have dropped the ball on me. And then the whole American Politico, right, the ecosystem came together. He got a call from RFK Jr. He got a call from Don Jr., the son of Donald Trump. Then Donald Trump said on it, and then he got the treatment. So it was just a beautiful thing to watch, right? So much of influence, so inspiring. I wish Scott Adams, sir, a very, very good recovery. I hope something really good happens and he finds a way to heal, right? So prayers for Scott Adams, sir, right? With that, I should go. Please take care. Mr. Class Apart writes, good luck for your meeting. Thank you so much. All the best, says Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Enjoy your Bangalore trip. Thank you. You make it sound like it's a Bangkok trip. Enjoy it. Yeah, all right. I will. Thank you so much. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.